Two Chairs No Waiting, episode number 194, the eBullet, June 2012. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you each week by the fine folks over at Weaver's Department Store. Drop by weaversdepartmentstore.com and check out all the wonderful Mayberry items they've got over there. And remember, weaversdepartmentstore.com is actually an arm of the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club. So anything you purchase over there goes to support the club and Mayberry Days and all other kinds of Mayberry activities, including the eBullet that we're going to be talking about tonight. Two Chairs No Waiting is also brought to you by donations from listeners like you. Thank you all for your support. Hello, everybody. I'm Allan, Newsome, the host of Two Chairs No Waiting. It's great to have you with me here in Mayberry. And really, drop by over at Weaver's because it does go to a wonderful cause of the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club and help support the podcast, help support the imayberry.com sites, the TAGSRWC.com site, all kinds of things, including, as we're going to talk about tonight, the eBullet. Now, the eBullet is the official newsletter of the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club. And, of course, there is also, I got one right here, an official, what do they call this one? The official flyer of the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club called The Button, because we had the bullet, bullet was in the pocket. So originally there was a shorter newsletter called The Pocket, which was a short version. And then this version's even shorter and smaller, so now it's called The Button. So we've had the bullet, and of course the eBullet, the electronic version, the pocket, and now the button, which is just a flyer with some of the information that you'll find in the bullet. So I want to encourage you to head over to the website, and the links will be in the show notes, but you can go to imayberry.com and you'll be able to find the link to the eBullet right there on the front page. It's always right there on the front, the eBullet, and you can subscribe and get copies for yourself to make sure you don't miss anything. You don't want to miss anything in Mayberry. There's too many wonderful things going on. So tonight we're going to be, as I said, talking about, or today, whenever you're reading this, some of the things that are currently going on. Now remember, this is June 2012 as I read this to you. Now our content for the Two Chairs No Waiting podcast is normally evergreen. By that, I mean you can listen to any of the episodes going back to episode 1, and most of the content there is evergreen, which means it doesn't matter if you listen to it the day I did it or now, 3.5 years later. Doesn't make any difference. It's the content's still fresh and something that you'll be be able to enjoy. So the eBullet, when I give these updates, I think these are snapshots in time. So even if you listen to them later, I hope you guys would enjoy them. But let's go in here and look at the eBullet. Now, if you haven't been and seen these before, there's all kinds of stuff there. There's a Floyd's Barbershop bulletin board, which has got all the events that are going to be going on around and in Mayberry over the next several months, often all the way into the next year. So go there and check it out, and you'll be able to see that. I'm not going to do all those because, every year these things would change, and if you're not listening to it live, you're not going to care. But I do want to encourage you to head on over there and check those out, as well as some other things that'll be links and all kinds of stuff that'll be part of this podcast that I'm not going to read. But let's get into some of the things I think you would be interested in. This is June 2012, and let's see what the news about the Mayberry cast and crew are. Well, Andy Griffith is doing fine in his coastal home in North Carolina. Jim Neighbors is recovering well from heart surgery in Hawaii back on May 29th of 2012. He was unable to be at the Indianapolis 500 in person to sing back home again in Indiana, as he always does. But Jim made a recording that was played on the PA before the race. That's awesome. Ron Howard has completed principal filming in England for the Formula One racing movie Rush, his latest film as director. Ron is fun to follow, by the way, on Twitter, if you have Twitter. I know in Mayberry, Sarah would love Twitter, but he is at Real Ron Howard. on Twitter. So if you'd like to keep up with him, he posts things from time to time, and he's tweeted a lot during the production of Rush. Ron's also partnering with Canon again, Canon USA, the camera company, for a second year for a photo contest. The theme of this year's contest is Long Live Imagination. You can learn more about it at Project Imagination with an 8 in it. And you can get there. You can go check it out at youtube.com/imagination, spelled like normal imagination. And the link will be there in the bullet. So head over and check it out if you want to see it. The TV production arm of Ron's Imagine Entertainment is involved in the summer's reality show called The Great Escape. It's on TNT. And it's also producing How to Live with Your Parents for the Rest of Your Life. That'll be on ABC this fall, as well as another season of Parenthood for NBC. Ron's brother, Clint Howard, is also Leon on the Andy Griffith Show, has several acting projects in various stages of production. Keep an eye out for the diabolical Amdro Ant Block commercial. If you can't see it, it's on YouTube. Just search for it and you should be able to find it at some point. Rance Howard, Ron and Clint's dad, plays a train engineer in The Lone Ranger, which is now filming. And he was in an episode of Grey's Anatomy back in April of 2012. He and Clint also recently filmed an episode of Showtime's Huff. So check those out if you haven't yet. Betty Lynn. Now, Betty Lynn, as we know, is Thelma Lou. She continues to greet fans monthly at the Andy Griffith Museum in Mount Airy, North Carolina. She also participated in North Carolina USO reunion and fundraiser back in April. Maggie Peterson was a guest for the Cherry Blossom Festival in Marshville, Missouri back in April. And she also did some Mayberry events this year, including, so far, the Mayberry Comes to Westminster, South Carolina, with her TV brother, Rodney Dillard. And she performs regularly at the world-famous Bootlegger Bistro in Las Vegas with her husband, Gus Mancuso. You might want to check that out if you're ever in Vegas. That'd be great. Dean Webb. Now, Dean was the mandolin playing Darling Boy. He was recently featured in a nice profile by Bill Graham in the Mandolin Cafe blog. Now, there's a link to that in the June 2012 issue of the eBullet, so you can go and check it out there. Lots of links in there, a lot of extra content, so make sure you head over there. Now, James Best, you know him as, if you're a Dukes of Hazzard fan, is Roscoe Coltrane. But he was the guitar player on the Andy Griffith Show. Well, he's in Romania this month, filming Confections of a Discarded Woman. It's a movie written and produced by his daughter, Janine, and her husband, Michael Damian. James has also been painting a lot. He does paintings, and making some Dukes of Hazzard's personal appearances. And beware, his Return of the Killer Shrews is about to gnaw its way into theaters, including a special fundraising premiere in Bristol, Tennessee, that'll be held on July 28th, 2012. Amid her work on her memoirs, Margaret Carey, she was two characters in two different episodes of the Andy Griffith Show. She was one character in one episode and one in the other. She's speaking about her Disney experiences at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in July. Now, Margaret Carey, if you don't know, she was Bess Huggins. Oh, I'm saying her name wrong, on the Andy Griffith Show. But she was they used her as a body model for Tinkerbell on Peter Pan. So she talks about Disney a lot. So that's she's a very interesting lady. And she'll be at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in July. Ronnie Shell, we know him as Duke Slater from Gomer Pyle, obviously, but he was on the Andy Griffith Show as well. He was a huge hit at the Eagles Wing fundraiser in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, back in April. Now, Howard Morris, the son of David Morris, has his ErnestT.com website up and rocking and rolling. So if you haven't seen ErnestT.com, you need to head on over there and check it out. It's awesome website. It's awesome because I help do it. So That's part of the thing. If of course, I'm going to think it's really good because I did a lot of the. Well, I did it. I did the website for David. So I definitely want to encourage you to head over to earnestt.com and check it out. David's got some really cool stuff he's been posting there, and he's also begun to do, he's got some new products over there that are Ernest T related. So if you like Ernest T Bass, you can head on over there. Anyway, we're very sad to report the passing of two performers who were on the Andy Griffith Show. Eric White Jr., he was a bass player for the Country Boys in the episode Mayberry on Record, which was episode 19. He passed away on June 7th at the age of 72. That date was also would have been the 68th birthday of his late brother and guitarist Clarence White. Eric left the Country Boys back in 1961, right before they became more famous as the Kentucky Colonels, and before Clarence went on to become a guitar-playing legend with the Byrds. Among Eric's survivors are brother, fellow country boy, and renowned mandolin player Roland White of Nashville. So there's a little bit more information there in the bullet if you want to drop by and check that out. And also sad to report that Frank Caddy, who played the town drunk Will Hoople in the Danny Thomas episodes that was the pilot for the Andy Griffith Show, and also he played Mount Pilot-based drunk Luke in the Rehabilitation of Otis. It was episode 185. He passed away on June 8th at his home in Wilsonville, Oregon. He was 96 years old. Frank was best known for his work as general store manager Sam Drucker on Petticoat Junction and later on Green Acres. And he also played Sam Drucker in some episodes of the Beverly Hillbillies during those same years, which we think gives him the distinction of being the only actor in TV history to play the same character in 3 shows during this exact same production period. So you might want to check that out. Frank is survived by a daughter, Catherine Turk, a son, Stephen, and 3 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. His wife, Shirley, his wife of 68 years, passed away in 2008. And just as a side note here, there's the Doug Dillard Legacy Fund. You might want to check out the bullet for this, but the Legacy Fund has been established by friends of Doug as a means to provide financial support and also perpetuate Doug's music and memory. And the information about contributing is right there on the website. Now, another thing in the bullet, the eBullet that we always enjoy seeing, is a chapter update. Now, there are 1,392 chapters of the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club. There's 1,392 that have been founded since 1979 when the club started. Now, the latest 3 that are in the bullet, I always like reading them because they're always fun to read. The first one is the Old Aunt Mariah's Cafe. That's in Moss Point, Mississippi. The next one is Mount Pilot Judo Society, which is in Moss Point, Mississippi. And no, it's not a typo. There are 2 chapters in that same town. I guess people couldn't decide what name they wanted. I don't know. And then from Southport, North Carolina, where did you hide the liquor, Otis? Where did you hide the liquor, Otis? Chapter. So thank you guys for coming up with those awesome chapter names. Now, there's a few other things we want to tell you about. And Mayberry on the Web is a section there on the website. Now, the fun thing about that, it's always telling you stuff that we're doing here on the web. Well, you're listening to a podcast on the web. So, one thing they talk about is that. But another thing they've talked about on here is the Mayberry Community. So the Mayberry Community is something we're excited about. That it launched earlier this year, and it's a wonderful web activity site hosted by the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club and organized and overseen by, me, Allan Newsome, Allan Floyd Newsome. That's me. So I encourage you to head over there, imayberrycommunity.com, and check it out. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. And there's a lot of fun going on over there. I definitely encourage you to drop by. The hope is that the Mayberry community will complement all the other online activities that we have, like the podcast here, and including imayberry.com, Facebook pages, online newsletters like the Bullet that we're reading here, Weaver's Department Store, and chat rooms. We're trying to combine with the chapters of the Andy Griffith Show, Rerun Watchers Club, and various Mayberry events for all the fans, from Mayberry Days to the ocean cruises, not to mention enjoying sights of Mount Airy, year-round stuff. All this stuff is on here. Mayberry Fun just keeps expanding. And best of all, it's all rooting and watching the Andy Griffith Show itself. Whether through DVDs, local stations, or TV land, loving to watch the show continues to be the energy that feeds all the other Mayberry fun and activities that we enjoy. What a wonderful thing Andy Griffith and his talented team of actors, musicians, writers, and crew people created 52 years ago for us. Wow, I'm telling you, it's amazing. Still have things there. Mayberry Community's got 350 to 400 people already. Started back in January. Definitely want to encourage you to drop by the Mayberry Community. Now, other things that are online, which obviously you know about the podcast. This one, Two Chairs No Waiting, is a big deal. And there's also, in case you didn't know, a Mayberry Bible Study podcast. Just so happens that the latest edition of it, which are six episodes of it, came out yesterday. So you can go to MayberryBibleStudyPodcast.com and check it out. And then there's also a Brother Figure podcast, we say, because it's not me that does it. I do the Bible study podcast as well, so I'd check it out. But Kevin Burke hosts a podcast about the Andy Griffith Show, and he's a longtime member of TAGSRWC, the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club. He does a great job describing and discussing individual episodes, and his podcast is called Burke on Mayberry. So check it out. So you can go to burkeonmayberry.com and check that out as well. Or you can check the links at the top of the page at the Mayberry Bible Study or twochairsnowaiting.com websites. And you'll see a link right there for Kevin Burke's Burke on Mayberry. So definitely want to encourage you guys to head over and check those things out. All kinds of wonderful stuff there at the twochairsnowaiting.com website. Now, we've got one more little bit of news here, and this is basically the chapters. You guys, I don't know how many of you are members, but you should be a member of a local chapter of the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club. And if you're not, you need to try to find one because they are awesome to be a part of because you get to meet with almost like family, these friends that are from Mayberry. All these folks that are huge Mayberry fans, they get together and enjoy each other's company. Let me give you an example of some of the stuff. The Shakedown chapter of Laurinburg, North Carolina, had a cookout in May with about 25 members and guests. Members of Wally's Front Porch chapter in Wilson, North Carolina, and from as far away as Tennessee were in attendance to the Shakedown chapters club meeting. Chapter leader Dewey Lamb reports that they had dogs, burgers, baked beans, nanner pudding, peach cobbler, and a churn each of strawberry and vanilla ice cream. That's good ice cream. That's awesome. So Dewey, that's what they did at their chapter meeting. Those gathered played trivia and several lawn games. The consensus was that this meeting was the best get-together yet. So the Shakedown chapter. Awesome. The Mayberry chapter in Knoxville, Tennessee, a very active chapter, has been busy not only with monthly chapter meetings and activities and attending various events, but in the June edition of their nice thrice-a-year Mayberry Minutes newsletter is just about to come out. It's a whopping 18 pages in size and has lots of color photos. If you get the Mayberry Chapters newsletter, you may read some of the stories and you may have seen some of the photos because they might be in issues of the eBullet. But there's a lot of new stuff in there too. And besides, we like Mayberry reruns. So it doesn't hurt us at all to read it in more than one place. If you're like me, you forget anyway. So And there's a really nice interview in the Dayton Daily News with TAGSRWC member Tony Farley of Springfield, Ohio, and his Mayberry squad car replica. There's links to that story there in the newsletter. And of course, there's all kinds of stuff in the bullet about merchandise updates. So I definitely wanted you to head on over there to weaversdepartmentstore.com and check it out. Well, folks, there's just so much Mayberry going on, and I definitely want to encourage you to head over and check out the eBullet, because while I read a lot of stuff to you, there's a lot more stuff in there for you to see, plus all kinds of photos, pictures that you would enjoy looking at. There's even pictures of the Shakedown chapter meeting and the Mayberry chapter meeting. You'll be able to see folks there. And I believe there was pictures of the, it looks like some of the members of the Barney chapter. That's who it was, not the Mayberry chapter, but the Barney chapter. There's a picture of them where they'd gone out to eat as well at a local restaurant. So I definitely want to encourage you to head over there, check out the calendar, because there may be an event near you coming up soon, and you definitely don't want to miss that. All right, so head on over there. Folks, I'd love to hear from you. I hope you'll give me a call at 888-684-8415. Or you can get my music to repeat like that. If you head on over to the Two Chairs No Waiting website, you'll also see a voicemail link right there on the side of the page. It says, send me a voicemail. If you have a microphone on your computer, which you might if you have a video camera, you can just click that link and send me a voicemail directly from there, so I can hear from you that way if you don't want to call me at 888-684-8415. Or you can also drop me an email at floyd@imayberry.com. So many ways to get in touch with me. I love to hear from you, so please head over and just let me hear. It's great to hear from you, because this show's for you. I like to know what you like. Folks, that's all I have. We'll see you next week on Two Chairs No Waiting, your Mayberry podcast. Bye, everybody.